Hello and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, Makina's route. Last time, the festival that was occurring was coming to an end. However, Makina spotted a certain doll of a certain TV show hero that she very much admires and asked Yuuji and Amane to get it for her. However, Amane's eyesight wasn't good enough to let herself perform in a sharpshooting contest, and Yuuji decided that it would be smarter to let Makina get it for herself. So he taught her how to perform basic marksmanship and eventually winning the doll for Makina. Let's continue. It was back at elementary school that I first realized I didn't hate running. This discovery wasn't prompted by anything special. I had no friends back then, so I'd often spend my afternoon hurling rocks into the nearby river, killing time until my mom got back from her job in the city. Not the most stimulating activity, granted, but we had practically no money and I wasn't a very creative kid. Anyway, early one morning I was alone at the riverbank. There I found myself playing my usual slightly better than nothing game, hurling flat stones along the surface of the water to see how many times they'd skip. But that day I noticed a man running along the dirt path that followed the course of the river. Well, that's a slightly misleading way to put it. I'd actually noticed the guy a long time ago since he ran that route along the river every single day. We never so much exchanged a word, but he'd always passed by at exactly the same time, even on rainy or blustery days. That was the extent of my connection with the guy. I'm sure he wasn't any more interested in me. At most, he was probably vaguely aware of some weird kid who was always out in the grass throwing rocks into the river. That day, a bit of idle speculation ran through my head. That guy must be an athlete. Otherwise, why would you make yourself miserable while running every single day? Maybe he was even a pro of some sort. When you're a pro athlete, keeping yourself in shape probably is just another part of the job. And why would you bother running if it wasn't your job? I sure couldn't see anything fun about it. But when I actually thought it over, I realized that I'd never gone on a long distance run of my own free will. I didn't really have any reason to. And I'd never felt particularly interested in trying. Wasn't it a little messed up to decide something I'd never even tried was horrible? Maybe there was something fun about it that I just wasn't aware of yet. It was basically just a whim, but it's not like the rock skipping was doing much for me. I started running after school, jogging along with my knapsack on my back. 3 kilos at first, then 5, eventually 10. Before long, running all the way to my mom's workplace became my daily routine. At first, I wouldn't make it over there till after her shift finished, so I'd usually meet her halfway as she rode home on her bicycle. Things went on like that for maybe half a year, I guess. Little by little, the distance I covered before meeting my mom grew longer. Eventually, I managed to get to her workplace before she even left. When she came out that first evening to find me waiting by her bicycle in the parking lot, my mom's eyes went wide with surprise. Praising me with the words, "You really are a fast runner, Yuuji," she glanced down at my beat-up old sneakers. And despite our extremely meager family finances, she brought me a new pair of running shoes. In the flush of that success, I realized I actually kind of enjoyed running, and I've learned that people can't really know something until they experience it. Now I understood. That man who was always passing me by must have had some big goal of his own. His running must have been his patient, steady way of approaching that objective. I didn't have any evidence, but it felt like the answer. If my sister was still alive, I could definitely beat her in a race now. That sort of childish self-esteem was probably something I needed badly back then. You can never truly know something until you try it. That man by the river taught me that lesson, and in turn, I want to pass it on to Makina. The ideal here would be something like, I don't know, teaching her the joy of music or something. If I had the talent, I'd gladly play an instrument or sing for her. But like I mentioned, I'm a little weak in the creative arena, and honestly speaking, I feel more comfortable starting off by introducing her to things that lie within the field of my expertise. And the field of my expertise happens to be... What's the matter, Maggot? Your movements are getting sloppier and sloppier. Yes, sir! Makina has been tagging along on my daily running for several weeks now, and lately she's starting to participate in a little light exercise afterward as well. On my own, that usually just means conventional calisthenics and strength training, but I came to realize that Makina's muscles are significantly undeveloped for a girl her age. Thinking that a lack of physical endurance might have something to do with a tendency to nod off in the middle of conversations, I started her on static isometrics. Then I worked up to a menu featuring more demanding dynamic exercise. I actually taught the girls some very simple self-defense principles a while ago, but I'm taking this opportunity to pass on some basic martial arts. Starting with the fundamentals, progressing to specialized techniques aimed at disarming an opponent with a knife and such, and finally more aggressive skills. These came with the disclaimer, use these to create yourself an opportunity to run. At first I wasn't taking the martial arts element particularly seriously. I looked at the lessons more or less a substitute for playing around with them. But before I knew it, Makina was moving in ways that could sometimes startle even me. You can't really underestimate this one. Yeah! Shout from the pit of your stomach, forcing the air out of your lungs helps push your brain into a state of tension, increasing your reaction time and burst of power of your muscles. Makina is following the fundamentals just as I told her, and she's generally quick on the uptake. Her single largest problem continues to be a complete lack of endurance. Overall, the girls come a long way in a short time. You're approaching inefficiently. Keep your movements compact. Don't give your opponent a chance to counterattack. Hoa! With another shout of determination, Makina ducks her head and leaps forward, expending all of her remaining stamina in one powerful tackle. Huh? Ugh. Just as I brace myself to block, the girl seems to disappear. It's that so-called slide dash of hers again. Where did she even pick this one up? Wherever it came from, she's good at it. The movement manages to surprise me, and that's no mean feat for an amateur. But that said, not good enough. The abrupt shift downward while maintaining her momentum was significant, up until the moment her arms wrapped around my knees. Makina gets perfect marks, but sadly her lower body is just too weak to bring me down. To the girl's credit, that doesn't keep her from trying. Her face bright red from exertion, she strains against my waist, raising a fierce battle cry. Seizing initiative doesn't mean you won. Also, brute force isn't the only way to take down an opponent. Timing and balance are what really matters. Make use of everything you can. That's the only way you're ever going to bring your enemies down. I reach down and grab Makina's elbows and lightly push my thumbs down against her ulnar nerves. Hawa! The impact to her funny bone sending jolts of numbness running through both arms. Makina abruptly slackens her stubborn grip around my legs. Okay then, my turn now. Startled by the threat and her vulnerable position, Makina instinctively tries to put distance between us. A definite mistake. Anticipating her attempt to back away, I follow smoothly, then give the girl a light push to the upper body, using the force of her retreat against her. With a very little effort on my part, she's completely destabilized. Sensing her imminent fall, Makina desperately braces her legs to resist the pull of gravity. Just as she struggles to right herself, I sharply yank the girl toward me, again exploiting her own momentum. And in one smooth movement, I've twisted her body around and wrenched up her arm behind her back. Yowee! You're tearing it off! You understand now? If you're lacking in power, just use your opponents instead. The stronger they are, the better it works. Once you've mastered this, the title of champions is yours for the taking. Sounds good in theory, you know, but it ain't just that easy in the real world. I'm telling you, this isn't just theorizing. In the words of the immortal Mr. Lee, don't think, feel, sense the flow and all that. You're sure making some unreasonable demands of a girl widely renowned from a tender age as invincible and sensitive imp, you know. Listen up, Makina. Thinking before you move slows you down, and more often than not, things won't go the way you plan anyway. Incidentally, do you understand how I was able to break your grapple so easily just now? Well, yeah, sort of made my elbow all go tingly, so I couldn't help loosening my grip, I guess. You weren't planning to loosen your grip, but you ended up letting go anyway. That's completely natural. When they touch a hot stove, almost anyone will jerk back their hand before they even process what's happening. It's an instantaneous reflex action. Even when you're actually trying to touch the stove, you will instantly withdraw your hand. That part of your brain that controls conscious thought isn't the same part that optimizes twitch reactions. Learn to exploit these involuntary reflexes and you'll be able to control most people's actions without the need of overwhelming force. Oh, now that you mention it, there was an article on brain structure in Junior Science this month that mentioned something about all that. Yeah, I read that one too. The main feature in that issue was pretty interesting as well. The one where they built that simulation of a brain and made the computer talk about its preferences, right? I thought that was cool too. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of preferences, you always use the same move when you're trying to land a tackle, you know that? The predictability makes it easier to deal with. Ideally you should be mixing things up, not just sticking with the one style you like best. From now on, let's practice moves you're weaker at and add a little variation to your repertoire.
Ooh, like using chopsticks with your left hands to train the right side of your brain?
Human beings are creatures of infinite potential, but it seems like there's still a great deal left to teach you.
Yes, sir! Raise me a good and proper if you please.
Well, learning the theory is important and all, but it's not much good without a foundation of basic physical fitness. That's what we really need to focus on right now. Makina has surprising agility and burst power. She can handle any aerobic exercise well, but endurance-based cardio seems to be a real issue. Despite her fundamentally weak muscles, the girl seems to have a strong heart that pumps a good deal of blood with every beat. As a result, her resting heartbeat is probably fairly low. Maybe those sudden bursts of sleep are a result of brief dips into outright bradycardia. If your circulatory system has something to do with that borderline narcolepsy of yours, developing your muscles might actually reduce the symptoms somewhat.
I don't know. Doctor said it was a reaction to excessive stress or something. Although frankly, that's probably just the default diagnosis when they don't have a freaking clue.
In any case, 9 times out of 10, someone who's just in poor shape can improve their condition dramatically just by exercising, eating right, and getting enough sleep. Back in my old school, they were great believers in intrinsic resilience of the human body. Go run it off was the extent of the medical advice you could expect if you were stupid enough to tell an instructor you'd caught a cold.
But if I start eating too much, my jelly belly might become chronic, you know? That'd be hella traumatic.
Traumatic? What's so bad about getting a little rounder? Kids are cuter when they have a little meat on their bones.
Okay, so I caught this nasty cold last year, right? Amane took me to the hospital and everything. And you know what? We got this total haughty 20-something doctor, and he's all, okay then, can you show me your stomach? So I confidently thrust out my jelly belly with a little waiting for good measure. And McDreamy over there starts with the stethoscope, turns his face to the one side and goes, excuse me, the jack freaking sniggered at me. Naturally, so I got slightly pissed off and asked the punk if he's picking a fight. But then Amane smacks me upside the head from behind, so I make this little weird oops oops sound. He ends up bursting out laughing. Forget that guy, seriously.
I doubt a doctor who can even discern the essence of your cuteness could possibly make an accurate diagnosis.
I know, right? Exactly my thought on the matter.
You can always tell a really excellent doctor by their ability to admit what they don't understand. Or so someone or other told me back in the day. That said, I can't deny that excess flap mainly just gets in the way.
What? We talking about Amane's tits now?
Good example. I mean, a little extra fat at the chest and hips is a necessary evil for women, but those things are going to be a real nuisance when the girl goes golfing. Personally, as long as we don't go into the HWAC territory, I think rounding out a little more would only add to Makina's niche appeal. But come to think of it, I always did prefer the bumblebee-like curves of the J2M Traytan to the pencil-thin C6N Siren. Well, I guess that's not particularly relevant.
What?
Anyway, for the moment, let's try avoiding restricting your diet and focus on improving your body's basal metabolic rate. But no matter how much we speed up her metabolism, I doubt this shrimp's capable of burning 3,500 calories a day like a typical company employee. Yes, I'll have to figure out a suitable training menu with Mess Sergeant Amane. Just as I'm stroking my chin with a thoughtful my ruminations are interrupted by the shrill squawking of Makina's digital pet. It's a daily occurrence at this point, but I can still feel my blood pressure rising.
Swat! An enemy?
Can't say I ever heard of a raid siren this idiotic. It's just your usual 7:30 alarm. Well, we'll conclude our training here for today.
Thank you very much, sir!
Indeed. Take a quick shower before you go to work, okay?
Actually, I got off from my job.
That's so. Well, I guess a little R&R is necessary once in a while.
Right you are, Papa. So let's spend the whole day playing.
I don't mind, but what sort of playing did you have in mind specifically?
Anything's fine, you know.
That's actually the most troublesome possible answer.
But you're always saying the exact same thing to Amane, you know.
Am I really?
Think about it. Amane's usually the one going, hey, Yuuji, what do you want for dinner tonight? And you always give her that totally apathetic, whatever's fine, right? Well,
I'm, I see. Looking at it from that angle, I feel like I've gained a little insight into the menu-related suffering Amane must endure on a daily basis. But still, you really want me to decide. Girls at this age are difficult to figure out, especially for men like me. To be honest, I can't even begin to guess what sort of playing Makina would actually enjoy. Oh, wait a second, that's an idea. Maybe it's about time I gave you that.
Oh, what? You got something for me?
Alright, you've been working hard lately, Makina. I'm impressed. In fact, I think a reward is warranted. Accordingly, I will now bestow you a splendid present.
Oh, wow, whoa, what? I'm hella looking forward to this.
That said, I'm not exactly confident this sort of present would particularly appeal to your average adolescent girl. Ah, hey, Sakagi-san, have you seen Yuuji and Makina? It's lunchtime soon, but I can't find either of them. I'm afraid I haven't seen them myself. When was the last time you spoke? They came back to eat their breakfast this morning, but the minute they finished eating, they both vanished again. I wonder where they went. They were here in the morning, yes. A few hours' absence is hardly anything to get worked up about. Also, if she's with Kasami-san, I don't think you need to be too worried. Well, you're probably right about that, but those two have been acting a little strange lately, you know? What do you mean by strange? Could you be more specific? The two of them seem to be doing something secretly behind my back, and they just won't tell me anything about it. Oh, so they're leaving you out. Is that what this is about? Don't say stuff like that. Now I'm feeling a little depressed. If you're that curious about Irisu-san's activities, why not read her diary? She still writes a daily entry to submit to the principal, doesn't she? I did read it, but hey, Sakagi-san, do you know what a Traytan is? Traytan? No, I'm not familiar with the term. Was that in Irisu-san's diary? Yeah, she wrote, "Today I played Traytan with Papa. It was totally fun," or something like that. Traytan. Just from the sound of the word, you'd think it's a character from a children's television program of some sort. Yeah, I thought so too, but there was also this weird drawing of some pink animal in her diary, you know? Like an anteater or maybe a hippo. It was seriously bizarre. Perhaps it's best not to overthink this. It's not like you have any reason to believe that they're doing something problematic, do you? Well, sure, that's true, but the way they're keeping it secret bugs me. I hope they are not getting up to any funny business. Funny business? You know, games that involve poking hard sticks into wet holes or something like that. What on earth are you saying? I won't deny Kasami-kun's behavior has some distinctly abnormal aspects, but he's surprisingly sincere by nature. Why not show a little more trust in... Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Did you just think of something, Sakagi-san? Well, it might have nothing to do with this whatsoever, but Kasami-kun stopped by my room the other day and used my PC to order some sort of toy over the internet. A toy? He was shrewd enough to clear the history, so I don't know exactly what he bought. But he was browsing the websites of several major hobby shops, so I assume it was something of the sort. Oh, now that you mention it, Yuuji did have a cash-on-delivery package that arrived the other day. I wonder if the receipt's still in the trash can. I understand that you're worried about Irisu-san, but I can't say I approve of meddling in other people's private hobbies. Come on though, how can you not be curious? Well, I do understand your feelings.
Nahoy, Amane, I'm hungry, hombre. Is lunch ready yet?
Speak of the devil, sounds as though they've returned. Rather than driving yourself mad with speculation, why not ask the two directly? Will they even tell me? I'm afraid I can't guarantee that much. Good luck to you, Suo-san.
Amane, is the curry ready?
Yes, just as ordered. We got some curry for lunch today. I made some tasty prawns too. Get them while they're deep fried.
Yeah, hey, Amane, you're the best.
Makina, you're kind of covered in mud. Wait, hold on. Are you bleeding?
Oh, well, Papa kept poking me with a hot stick, you know. Got a few scrapes here and there.
Yuuji, excuse me, Yuuji! Yes, no need to bellow, young woman. People might get the idea you're prone to hysterical overreaction. Excuse me, Makina's injured, you know. What have you done? What have you to say for yourself? Yeah, she did get a few bumps and scrapes out there. Nothing a stiff upper lip can't fix. How is that going to fix anything? What were you doing out there? You're overreacting something fierce, Amane. I'm a kid, so a skinny on the knee or two break on the playground is part of the course, right? You're not exactly a kid in terms of age, you know. Well, I'll admit that I could have been a little more careful, but try to think of injuries like this as within the normal range of variation. Look, I don't want to treat her like a hothouse flower either, but even a small cut can lead to tetanus or sepsis, you know? I did have her wash them out with tap water, but you're right, disinfection's important too. Sorry about that. 66 years have passed since the end of the war, but its impact still lingers. It's said that those who lived through those painful years are often overprotective toward their grandchildren. Many older Japanese endured miserable food shortages in their childhood. Many watched wounded friends die for lack of basic treatment. Spurred by a fierce desire to protect their descendants from such misery, they sneak perfectly well-fed little boys and girls extra treats on top of their school lunches, ultimately leaving them plump and spoiled. I can't let him go hungry, I can't let some trivial scrape end up killing her. That sentiment's understandable, but the more that you protect a human being, the weaker they become. As an ambitious commissioned officer observed the returning alive from the south, sometimes the bite of winter is pleasant in its own way. And by the same token, occasionally experiencing the harshness of the world can teach us compassion, help us find the real strength. Amane, seconds! That's fine, but you sure are eating a lot lately. Don't tell me your appetite center is malfunctioning again. The girl's been working part-time and training with me lately, so it makes sense she'd work up an appetite. Pushing your body spurs the appetite. At my previous school, even I used to supplement the 3 meals a day we got in the dorm using my own money. And among my classmates, there were guys who'd wolf down 3 huge Swiss rolls from the convenience store and call it a light snack. Here you go, Makina, your second helping. Yes, thank you kindly, boss. But seriously, even the curry has pumpkin in it? How many times do I have to tell you? Pumpkins are crazy rich in vitamins. You gotta have B1 if you want to turn those carbohydrates into energy efficiently, right? True enough. Your nutritional wisdom continues to impress me, Amane. I know, right? Makina has been losing a little flap off that jelly belly lately, thanks to my expert management of her diet, you know. Don't be ridiculous. That's clearly the result of the strength training we started recently. Strength training? You serious? Makina can't stand exercise. I've devised a routine that isn't too onerous. She's mostly just repeating a few sets of static exercises that effectively work the muscles in a fairly short period of time. I'm not sure I really follow, but I guess this is what you two keep slinking off to do behind my back. Our main focus has been on strengthening the inner muscles, but we're gradually moving toward toughening the outer ones as well. That's probably why she's looking a little slimmer around the waist. Anyway, the training's fine and all, but for some reason, every single time you two go outside to play, Makina comes back with a fresh set of bruises and scrapes. What are you even doing out there? Kind of difficult to summarize, actually. Well, you know, tree climbing and stuff, like crawling around the ground, playing leapfrog sorta, some hide and go seek too. Oh, and swinging around sticks too, kinda. We're playing those sorts of games, you know. What the heck is that? It all sounds like stuff that appeals to, like, 10-year-old boys. It's pretty freaking fun. Papa promised to play with me this afternoon too, you know. Wanna join in, Amane? Thanks, but I think I'm good. Running around in dirt under the blazing sun kind of lost its appeal to me a while ago. Oh yeah? That sucks. Anywho, thanks for your grub. Huh? Wait, Makina, are you already done eating? Yeah, it was hella tasty. Come on, Papa, let's go play. Well, hold on just 1 second. Before you start playing again, go take a bath and change out of those filthy clothes. What? They're just gonna get dirty again, you know. I don't care. Take a bath anyway. Papa's not gonna like you if you stink of sweat, you know. Alright then. Papa wanna come in with me? Papa and I have a little something to discuss. Go in by yourself this time, alright? Yes. What's all this then? She went out of her way to drive off Makina before starting the conversation, which would mean, well, she's probably angry. Alright then, Yuuji, mind giving me a little of your time? Why the Kyoto dialect? You got other things to worry about right now, friend. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. I'm already sitting, actually. From the tone of her voice, I'm guessing she might be asking me to sit on my heels. As a precautionary measure, I straighten my posture. Well? Sorry, what's that supposed to mean? Can you at least tell me what we're talking about? What are you two really doing behind my back? I'm not gonna be angry as long as you're honest, okay? I'm not particularly hiding anything from you, it's just the usual Army Rangers game. Really? You're not playing any funny games with her, are you? What's this funny game supposed to be? No need to worry, we haven't done anything dangerous like rappelling yet. Did you just say yet? Look, I'm being very cautious about her safety. I mean, before you came along, Makina used to spend her time playing with dolls all by herself. Compared to that, it's good to see her getting some fresh air and exercise. But try to make sure she stays in one piece, alright? Yeah, understood. Oh, and on that note, you just bought Makina some weird toy, didn't you? What are you talking about? Playing dumb won't do you any good. You borrowed Sakaki-sen's computer to order something on the web, right? Look at this. Amane thrust out a small slip of paper in a vaguely accusatory fashion. With a sinking feeling in a pit of my stomach, I recognized the receipt the delivery man left on my bubble wrap package the other day. This was in the trash bin over there. What on earth are you buying her that cost 80,000 yen? Right, I thought Makina could use an Amati violin, so... Don't lie to me, why would a violin need that big a case? You saw the case? Well, yeah, but it was locked so I couldn't open it. What's inside that thing? How can I explain this? I guess you could call it an educational toy. Makina needs to develop her talents. Anyway, it's, nothing too weird. You don't need to worry about it. You're just making me more suspicious. What is this thing? I'm not going to tell you that. Oh, something I can't know about, huh? It's not anything I need to keep secret, and there aren't any legal issues either. I just don't think you'd understand right now. That's the only reason I'm not telling you. Until Makina's talent really flowers to the point where I decide the girl should actually pursue this going forward, I'm not going to let you interfere. Even if you catch on, I'd appreciate it if you pretended otherwise. Answer me just one question. It's not anything seriously dangerous, is it? I'll guarantee that much. Alright then, fine, that works. I'll keep my mouth shut, but in exchange, you better make sure to keep her in one piece. Understood. That's right, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about. Which is? Take a look here, will you? What's this? It's Makina's diary. See this right here? She wrote today, I played with Traytan with Papa. But what's that Traytan thing? It's, well, you know. Looking at the picture, it seems like she was trying to draw some weird little pink animal. Is this Traytan? That's... I can't tell her that Traytan is Makina's abbreviation for training Tanto. That's just not an option. A training Tanto, as you might guess, is just a mock short sword without an edge, to practice one of the most indispensable jungle warfare skills without the risk of disembowelment. I've been teaching Makina bare-handed grappling techniques for a while now, and lately she started to get a decent feel for the basics. Figuring it was time to add a little variety, I brought out the training Tantos as an introduction to Jukendo, a required subject in my line of work. And also, the inevitable struggle for survival. As civilization collapses, Japan is all but covered in jungle. Traytan mastery is the difference between life and death. It sort of goes on like that. Any idea what that might be? Cold sweat slowly trickles down from my armpits. Come on, Amane, you haven't heard of Traytan from that kid show on satellite TV? He's ridiculously popular these days. Really? I've never even heard the name before. Is that really true? Of course, you know. Hey ho, it's me Traytan. Listen up, boys and girls. When you're setting up pitfall traps, don't forget to smear rotten shit on the tips of your bamboo spears. Ringing any bells now? Pretty famous line.
If you say so. I mean, rotten shit?
In other words, Traytan reminding the boys and girls in front of the TV set that wars are won through a steady accumulation of minor harassments. The little guy knows his stuff.
What the heck is that? A show for child soldier guerrillas in conflict zones?
Well,
Yuuji really isn't a good liar, is he? My attempt to avoid Amane's wrath though, through spontaneous babble seems to have backfired somewhat. You may have noticed by now, but I'm really not much of a liar. Just as I said. In any case, don't worry about Makina. I'll personally raise her into a splendid lady capable of returning alive from any hellhole we drop her into. I think that usually goes a splendid lady who won't embarrass us wherever anywhere she goes, right? Why drop her into a hellhole?
Well, anyway, that's how it is. Later.
Hey, Yuuji, this conversation isn't over, mister. Oh, for crying out loud. But seriously, I wonder what he bought her.
Honestly, it's not like we're doing anything to be ashamed of. Given enough patient explanation on my part, I'm sure Amane would understand eventually.
But where possible, it's best not to advertise this sort of skill. For one thing, the value of a trump card is inversely proportionate to the number of people who are aware of its existence. And while a current pursuit may have gained tentative social sanction as a kind of sport, it's still strongly evocative of lethal weaponry. We have a serious image problem to overcome. Sort of like motorcycles in that aspect. There's this nagging prejudiced assumption that a young person who gets out one of these is going to end up using it for evil purposes. For that exact reason, I think it's necessary to demonstrate that Makina understands the rules and can follow them responsibly. If the girl really knows what she's doing, we'll have a much easier time convincing Amane. Carefully creating the long, heavy case we'll be using this afternoon, I wait for Makina to finish her bath. And we shall see what's in the case in the next episode. So until then, take care.